Welcome gamers to Arms Trade Tycoon Tanks. My name is Daz Tactic. Welcome to this one-off video really where I just go through how to play the game, which is a pretty awesome game. It's one of these games where it's very easy to categorize it incorrectly and bypass all the fun bits that are actually in it. It's a tycoon game at its heart, so yes, you are doing your stock levels, you're doing you're sort of getting your resources in, so you're managing those sorts of things. But it's not onerous. I can tell you that the game is one of these games that can be played on a very superficial level, or you can play it very, very deeply, whichever way you want to go and play it. It's a game that's very much about designing tanks to fit sort of market requirements. So you've got like different governments around the world looking to buy your tanks, and then you are then supplying your tanks. The tanks also then have to perform in battle. Now, you don't get to perform the actual battle itself, but you do get reports on how your tanks do go through. Again, it's extremely intricate if you do want to scratch beneath the surface. So I've just wanted to preface that right from the very, very start. This is a game with a lot to love about it, but you can also play it fairly simply. So it's easy to play, difficult to master because of the colliding game mechanics in it. There is a definite game loop as well, which you'll see when we go through this. We'll try to play through a game loop just so you get a bit of a feel for what does go on, and that's going to be from designing a tank, researching, engineering, designing, producing, essentially warehousing, and then shipping out for a contract. So that's sort of like the actual loop itself, and then evaluating what does go on. It's a tricky game as well because there's every mechanic in this game is it's fun to do because you can create like a really crappy design that's really, really cheap if you're wanting to then go and sell it because you'll be able to sell it cheap. And so the governments then may decide, yep, okay, look, let's cut some costs and go with your design, even though it's a lot worse than the others that are on the market, because you are competing with other tank companies as well. So it's a fun game. There's as I say, a lot of choice with this one. And when I first looked at it, I didn't think there would be the amount of choice there actually is in it. So hopefully I will actually communicate that as we go through this. Now, I do want to thank Microprose for sponsoring this video. Microprose have some amazing games, particularly simulation games, strategy 4X type games. Probably not so much 4X, but strategy simulation games. And this is sort of like this Tycoon game. Sort of fits in that mold, except that you're not really doing it like it's not like a flight sim type thing. But God, they got some good games anyway. So I do want to thank Microprose for sponsoring it. If you do want the game, it's coming out in February of 2024, and you can wishlist it. There is actually a link in the description, so by all means, follow the link. Grab the game, and I think you'll be happy with it. Like, it's one of these games, as I say, that I've only heard good things about it from other people who cover gaming, as in like they rave about it, which is always a really, really good sign. And also it's one of these things that it's surprising when you just have a look at it, because you expect one thing and then you're pleasantly surprised when you realise. So hopefully I'll be able to get through and explain that. Let's just get into it. We'll start a new game. Now, the premise is that you are controlling a tank factory, which is what you see through here. So this is the main screen that you're going to be sort of watching, and there's going to be a lot of information that will then appear on this particular screen, just giving you feedback as to what's actually happening at the different centres of your factory. And we'll certainly go into that one. We're starting in 1914, just before World War I, but it is not history as we know it. This is, and it may change. They may actually make one that's historically accurate. I don't know whether there'll be other settings that we can then play into the future. But it starts in 1914, but it's sort of like a bit of a random way that the world then sort of heads off. Different countries can declare war against each other than are historically accurate, etc., etc. Let's start there and have a look at that one, because this was the thing that actually made me realise this is a much, much deeper game than what I had anticipated. And that's actually from this screen here, by the way. This is just the global map. When I first opened the screen up, my first reaction was, oh, this is not what I was expecting. Because this is sort of something where where it is unexpected. So what we're seeing through here is of course the world, and if we have a look at Europe, for example, you can sort of zoom in and out just to, the two different zoom levels. But what you actually have is you've got your main powers in through this other side, like Brandenburg. You've got Zealand back in through this other side. You've got Utrecht, like the different countries essentially have got their provinces, and so these are the capital provinces of the different countries. And then you've got little battlefields where the actual fighting takes place, where your tanks actually then play a role as to how things go on. So each of these little areas then give, I guess they give victory points to the antagonists and protagonists in the actual combat itself. All you're doing is you're supplying tanks to whichever side is fighting. And so it's not something that you have to, it's not as if you're worried about what's happening with the various income and railways and stuff like that, but you want your side to get hold of them because they're then going to be able to use that to supplement what you do, is sort of the way I think it works anyway. It's pretty cool though. So these are little battlefields. You then got your major battlefields back in through here. As I say, any of the forces can then sort of fight each other, and it just extends all over the place. You've got client states down through here in Africa as well. So there's an awful lot to like about this. So this one here is, for example, Ngamiland. I've never heard of that one. We've got ourselves Transvaal. It's just a lot to like about what's actually going on between the various countries and what does go on in Europe. Now, the country that we are going to be actually supporting at the very, very start of the game is Great Britain. We start off in Great Britain. And so if we have a look in through here, for example, so each country has got like an aspect of their internal politics, their budget preferences as to what they do prefer to sort of be looking through. So this is much more militaristic than economic or diplomacy is the way that they're sort of going through. The economic preferences are income is going to be road expansion. So they've just got focuses of how they will play. You don't have any bearing on this, but this will then dictate what type of equipment they're looking from you. So you've got this sort of meta game going on that you have zero control over, and they then issue contracts to you. So this is what goes on through here. So that's the internal politics of Great Britain. You can see through there it's a monarchy. Political strength is 25, economic strength 134. So there's different things in through here as well. Just giving you a bit of a summary as to how they work. The British Empire is a lucrative customer, the first adopter of tanks in its army ranks, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of detail in through here. External politics, who are they at war with? Who are they friendly with? And again, this randomizes a bit. They've got trade agreements across the board through here. We're not seeing Germany, are we? Yeah, we are seeing Germany there. So we do actually. So they've got non-aggression pacts across through here with, like for example, the USA, alliances with Italy and also with France. So this is sort of how this one then works. And every country has got their own version of this. Their economy, so you can sort of see down through there, they actually control 12 different territories, like the client states essentially. That's their income. Urbanisation, like what percentage is cities, etc. We've got the towns, and then they've got the rural. So that's actually the split of how their empire is set up. Infrastructure, like a bit of rail, roads, and I don't know how this works in the game, but it's sort of like I know that when you take over different areas, it impacts these overall different bits and pieces. So this is actually in Europe. Then they've got the landscape and through this other side, like forests, etc., etc. And so I think this has a bearing as to if you have to build tanks to then go and fight in a specific location, you then they'll have a requirement for where they're heading or what they're trying to defend to then have tanks built a particular way. I'm assuming, I haven't actually got that deep into it to be honest, but it's exciting to see this because why else would you model all this stuff? Then they've also got their client states in Africa as well, where they've got like a different set of criteria. So 42 territories in Africa, 76 income coming from Africa as well. So more income coming, or not from Africa, but from their client states. Well, it isn't from Africa, etc., etc. So the wars that take place will then sort of dictate what happens with but I guess mainly with their income. If the income drops, they're not going to have as much money to spend on tanks. So that's the economy of the actual country. Again, you don't have to know this, but just the fact that it's actually modelled and simulated is, that's Microprose for you. That's what Microprose does, simulations. So this is nothing that you actually get to control. The tank core. Now, this is the only tank core at the start of the game in the game. And so what Britain is doing at this early stage in 1914 is to try to put together a battalion of tanks. And so they're planning it at this stage, but they haven't made their decision. And the first thing that's going to happen with our factory is to fulfill this first tank battalion. After that gets started, the other countries are then going to scramble as well. And when that happens, there'll be other companies starting up all over the world. They'll be trying to build tanks. They'll be selling it to the best that they can with their contracts. And so there's a lot of things that do go on. We'll see this as we get into the actual game itself. The Army Corps itself is currently split up between artillery, infantry, and cavalry. We can see the different divisions that they actually then have. These will then go out and fight in different locations for this particular country. And then finally, when they start to win things, they're going to then get trophies. Now, no one has any trophies at the start of the game, but that's what I'm talking about. The simulation of what happens on the global map really opened my mind to what the game is doing, which is really interesting. It's so fascinating with what we see through here, and so it is quite interesting to see. Actually, sorry, that wasn't Germany. Germany is outside of the politics we actually sort of have in through there. So there's no trade agreements, non-aggression pacts, or alliances with Germany. Now that can actually happen. Like everything is random, and every country is going to have their own. There's little areas back in through here, like northern Norway, for example. And so these are all part of the economy of their country. Again, it's and the tanks or the armies will then sort of fight. And initially the armies won't be fighting with tanks, but they will eventually, and then tanks will then start to dominate. So that's the world map. Let's go back to the factory ground. Now this is where most of the game is played, on the factory ground itself. And so there's a loose progression that you go through when you're actually sort of, designing a tank and fulfilling a contract. So you've got the administration building, which is where you hire and fire. So we'll go into that in a minute. So I'll be going to each of these in turn as we start to sort of go through and actually give an example of how to play the game. So this is your hiring and firing, essentially your administration for the whole factory complex. Research is where you start to develop research for different components. Now, there should never be a time in the game where you're not doing some sort of research. Research is really, really important. So that's something that you'll be wanting to do all the time. From research, once you've actually got the design or the research design of what you're trying to produce, you then have to engineer that component. So engineering is for individual components, and so this is actually them figuring out the tooling and how they should then go about the construction of something. And so that takes time as well in engineering. From engineering, we then jump across to design bureau. The design bureau is for putting together all of those components that have been designed or been researched and then engineered, then get put together in the design bureau to then create a tank design that you can then sort of start to try to meet various, like you have to have a bit of a best guess initially and then sort of work from that point. So the design bureau is where you put together the actual tank itself. This is quite good fun actually to actually work in here, and this is this is probably the bit that I enjoy the most, to be honest, is the construction of the tanks, because there's a lot of choice with what you can do to meet different requirements for different governments and the way that you might sort of approach things. So we'll probably take I'm trying to think, should I just show a standard sort of tank, like a way to try to get a good tank design, or should I do something where it's going to be a bit of a shitty design and then we have to try to sell it to cheaply or something like that? But I don't know just yet. But there's so many different choices you have in this. Eventually, like at the start, you don't have a real lot of choice because you don't have a real lot of engineered componentry, so you've got a limited choice at the start, but that does change as the game develops. From the design, once you've got a finished design and it's been sort of then worked out again with all of its tooling and the way that it's supposed to be produced, it then goes into production. So this is where your main factory is, so you've got all your factory workers back in here, and from the factory, once it gets finished, it then goes out to the warehouse. Now, sorry, before it goes even to here, when you first have a design, you do need to then figure out, like, is it going to be viable? Now, I think you make a prototype. I think that's how it works. I can't remember the exact order. I don't think you make the prototype here. I think you make the prototype in here. Or maybe you do, actually. I can't remember. But anyway, you come to the proving grounds where you then run the tank through its paces and just see what needs to be tweaked. And then it goes back into the design basically to get tweaked and correct all of any issues that it might actually have. And then it goes into full-on production. And so you then are trying to then meet the requirements of different contracts. then eventually what will happen is this will then go, the finished tanks will then end up in the warehouse, and from the warehouse they'll then be shipped out to whoever has actually ordered them. And so you've got different shipping companies that then take over that process, and your contract is for when the client gets it in their hand. And so the shipping company may have delays, in which case you then have to wear fines, etc., for what's actually going on. It's an interesting and intricate game, the way that does play out. The warehouse also is for your incoming, so your resources from around the world come in to then be able to build the tanks. So the tanks all have like a resource requirement. Again, it's not onerous. It sort of sounds like it's much more of a management game when you're sort of working within the warehouse, but it's actually not difficult. You can do that in just a couple of minutes, basically, to do what you have to do. Now, the other bits we have is like a museum, which is sort of like over through here, which is mainly just for sort of, I guess, showing off the finished tank designs. And the test drive is where you can actually just go and test the tanks yourself and put them through this particular course, this 3D course. So you get to drive the tanks, fire at different things, see what it's actually like to run them through their paces. It does have a bearing on the perception of the tank, but it's mainly the proving grounds is the most important thing. Right, so with that in mind, let's just get started and just go through how basic buildings do work. So let's just start with the administration building, because that really is pretty much where you will be starting. Not every game, probably research is probably where you really will start, but administration's got a few little things. So let's just go through how the buildings work. So when I go in, basically we then have an area I can then sort of just I can just left click and then sort of rotate around a little bit. I can zoom in and out a little bit, not very much, but you can sort of see it's a 3D area. Now we've actually got a few areas we can then build other subsequent buildings or secondary buildings in amongst it. And so over through here we've got the common attributes of this particular building. It's costing me $5,000 a month to maintain this particular building. We have 4 facility slots that we can then fill. So currently occupied a total number of available construction sites for facilities. So you have a number of facilities back over through here, and you need to make your choice wisely. There's a few no-brainers. For example, getting the fire stations is very, very important. And so you probably want to get that one first of all. So if we just go into fire stations, go and click on it, you'll see it provides a bonus for professional firefighters, reduce the risk of fire in all of your facilities. Actually, the bonus is for this one over through here. A fire focus, reduction of fire risk in all buildings in your factory grounds by 10%, which is actually substantial. So there is a chance, the fires can still break out, but there is a chance that this will actually then be this will be, it will stop a lot of fires from actually happening. Now it's going to cost me $30,000. I've got $800,000 to spend up the top through there. So actually, what I should have done before I did all this was show you how the user interface works. Let's do that instead. I'm just going to press escape. We go back out. And so to see this, I'll just go through a few of the interface aspects really, really quickly, and then we'll get into the actual specifics again. So the first one is, this is just the game settings. The next one is a manual, which is just like a very, very light manual of how things actually then go and work, how things actually sort of operate in through here. I think there's still work to be done in this aspect. So this will just give you an overview of how the various buildings then sort of work. So it's just a very simple manual at this stage. The next one across, though, is the one that we'll just have a quick look. This is actually the different areas of the interface. So the first one we have is the resource panel. So it shows us essentially our standing, or our how our respect in the world. So it shows the status of your staff and resources as well. But anyway, we've got the standing in through there, the money, the various resources that are required to build the tanks in through this component, the number of tanks that we've got built, and the total storage we have. We've got a storage of 50, and then we've got the different workers that work for us. So we've got 240 factory workers, we've got 50 engineers, and no administrators type things in through there as well. So that's going to be the summary of the workers that we actually have working for us. Number 2 is this little panel through here. This is the global information. So even though we've got like the global map over here, this is the one where we get the news items that come through, the contracts that come through, etc., back and through here, conflicts, stuff like that, where we can get basic information about the world around us and how that actually then does go and work. Number 3 is essentially these take you inside the various buildings that we see in through here. So these literally correspond to these. Now, some of these buildings are split into two. So, for example, the warehouse, we've got the resources coming in and the stock going out, and so they're actually split into two different areas back and through here. So that's what we're seeing through those two and through there. And then last one is over here. It's just our time controls. Now, if you're wanting to play, there's like a tutorial that comes with the game. You don't have to follow it. I'm just going to be skipping over it in this particular run through, but you can follow it, which will then just introduce what you should be looking at as you start to play the game. And literally the way that you run the tutorial is just to unpause the game. You've got the different speeds in through this other side as well. You're starting off just before World War I, but as I said before, it's not history as we know it. It is a random history. So we start off at early. It's sort of the actual tank components are based on historical components, so we still actually have to research specific things, but the way we put them together, the way that we collide everything together to make it work is what makes it interesting. And then we actually have administrators that come in from the administration building eventually, and they will then give their own slant on things as well. So we end up with just a different tweak to the way that the tanks are put together. So it's a fascinating game in so many different ways. Anyway, that's just that aspect. We'll just press escape, get out of that one. So that's the interface in a nutshell. We'll go through it in detail. But anyway, administration building. First thing we wanted to be building really is the fire station. I think that's almost a no-brainer, and it's the first thing that the tutorial tells you to do as well. So we bring this one in. Now it's going to cost me 30,000 of the 80,000 that 800,000 that we've got. It's going to take 60 days to build it, and it's then going to cost me an ongoing maintenance of 5,000 per month after that point. So build, in we go. So that's now being built in one of the areas. This area here now is going to be the fire station. So these are various areas that we can then sort of construct back in this other area. You can see now that the facility slots back over here have now gone from 1 to 4. We don't have any bank loans. We can only get one bank loan at this stage. Okay, so this can change over time. The administrators, we can only get one administrator as well, so that will be offered to us at some point. There's a 1% fire risk at this building, so this is what we're having at this building, and the accident risk is 0% in the administration building. There's no paper cuts back in through here. So we can actually then go inside where we can hire and fire. Let's not do that just yet. We don't really need to worry about that one until we start to do other things. So that's the administration building. I just press escape to go back from here. So we'll just get some of these started. Let's now go to the Research Bureau and have a look at what we've got in through this other side. And so the Research Bureau, again, has got things, for example, it's got facility slots of 0 or 4, so we can place something in through here as well. So again, have a bit of a look at them, click on them, see what benefits they give you. This is fundamentals. Quite often you want something that's relatively cheap. I like this one from the start. What this one does is it gives you another 10 engineers per research line. Now, we only have one research line available to us at this stage, but it does allow us to do the research faster. It's again 30,000 to build, 60 days, 5,000. So let's just go and build that one. Now we can build some concurrently as well. So I'll just build one for now. I won't go through all of this in too much detail, but that's a good one I think to get. And you can see there we've got the engineers per line is 0 of 20. Administrator slots is 0 of 1. Research lines in through there are 0 of 1 as well. This will then break open over time. We'll get more and more research lines coming back in. Fire risk here is 6%. That's why we need to have the fire station back at the administration building. These are always very, very particular to what we're looking at. This is actually where we've then put administrators. So we can always just close that one up just to see more stuff down the bottom there if we wanted to. Okay, accident risk here. Again, nothing really dangerous in this particular location. That's mainly going to be the factory that will be the problem there. So we've got those. And if we wanted to fix the risk across the whole factory, we'd go back to the administration building again, just to sort of look into if there's another building we can get to help with the actual risk to the workers. Anyway, because it can slow down our production. We don't care about the workers. All we care about is the production that actually happens with it. So we're very much capitalists. We're sort of greedy capitalists in this particular run through. So anyway, that's what we have there for that one through that side. Now to start up a process line, I can go and click on that one, or I can go up to research and click it here. So the brain center of your company. Here you unlock new technologies and new parts for your future tanks. So let's have a look at that. I love the look of all this. This looks great. Now, what we have, I do want to spend a bit of time with this because I think that when you understand the intricacies of how these components work, it will then help with understanding how everything else works in the game. So with this one, for example, the tier 1 structure, this research tree focuses on the structural tank parts such as hulls, turrets, different armor alloys and assembly types. So that's the structure part. We then have firepower. So this research tree focuses on all aspects of firepower, such as primary and secondary weapons, various kinds of ammunition. And then we have mobility. This one focuses on mobility components such as power units, running gear, and different types of fuel. Now, these first lot of, this is tier 1 of what we're going through. The game will progress through era after era after era, where you have to keep on adding on to what you then grab from the different tiers to then make your tanks much more powerful as you go on. And so we won't get anywhere close to that in this video, by the way, because there's a lot to explain. So with the structure in through here, if we just have a look, if we have a look and see what we've already got, this I think is quite interesting. So if we go to the riveted assembly and we go and click on this one through here, it will then tell us this one's already been researched. It's so this is a relatively cheap and fast way to assemble tank parts together. Unfortunately, this comes at the price of poor reliability and high risk of shrapnel if rivets are hit by the projectiles. And so this is the negative of the rivets. So yes, it makes it faster to build, but and cheaper to build, but at the risk of increased risk of actually then causing damage. We then have a few different components, parts in through this one. This is a volume, so the total internal volume occupied by the components, the crew members, and ammunition and fuel. So that's sort of the volume cost, the structure, the reliability of all structural components in the tank, a base attribute affecting the complete battle, with the exception of ammunition and repair phases. Now, you'll see it talks about different phases in the battle. So I don't know if we're going to get a chance to see this in battle, to be honest, but there's different phases in the battles that are abstracted back on the global map. And so the way that these then go and work is that you will then end up getting a lot of, your tanks will then perform based on what it can tick off with different things. And so structurally, this is the structure representing the basic components in the battle. This is the structure representing the repairability. So we have the actual battle structure and the repairability structure. So we've got a rating of 5 in through here based on this particular one. It also is then going to cost us $292. So approximate total cost based on high resource prices and salary levels. This is just approximate. So when we're trying to figure out what's a tank going to cost us, this gets added to the cost of the tank. We then also have the total cost, the cumulative cost in resources. So this is sort of like the cost for the iron and so on and so forth. And this is the man-hour cost, so cumulative hours in man-hours to basically have this component on the actual tank itself. So 100 hours to rivet together a tank. So that's the riveted assembly. So all of these are, and if you're into the detail of this sort of game, have a read of all this stuff. It's really, really cool. It's really cool. So this is wrought iron Mark 1. There's a typo there. There's a few typos through the game. I don't know if they'll be fixed by the time it's released. Anyway, wrought iron or worked iron is an iron alloy with very low carbon content that has been heated and then worked with tools. This alloy is generally more for duties than necessitates a more durable metal. So it's not the best. And this one's got a mass of 500. So you can see it's got different criteria than the rivets. So it's got a mass in through here, total mass of the vehicle that implicitly affects many other tank attributes, especially the ones belonging to the mobility. So this one has got a mass of 500. It's got a kinetic resistance of 10. So this is the cumulative attribute expressing the ability to resist ammunition that uses kinetic energy to penetrate the armor. So bullets and just simple shells. Shock resistance of, so this one here, the ability to resist ammunition that uses explosive energy. So it doesn't do well against explosive, it does okay against kinetic, and it's high mass. And so again, we've got their costs, the resource cost and then the manpower cost to build it out of wrought iron. Now, if we go across this one over through here, which hasn't been researched, this is rolled homogeneous armor. It's made from a single sheet composition, hot rolled. And this one has got a higher mass, so that the mass goes up, but also it doubles our resistance and our shock resistance. So with this thing, it makes the tank more survivable, but it makes it heavier. So the tank ends up being heavier, which means it's going to be harder to ship. All sorts of other things then come from doing it this way. It also costs more in through here as well, and it costs more in man hours as well with the RHA steel as opposed to 75. So when you go for these higher level things, it then adds on to other aspects of what you do, but it makes it for a better tank. So do you want to make a cheap tank and just pump them out? Or do you want to go and get something that's going to be better for the people using the tank and probably better in battle, or will be better in battle, but it's going to be harder for you to then sort of meet the requirements of shipping. So it's things like this where there's this... when you get into it, there's all these different intricacies as you go through. And so if we have a look at that one through there, that one's probably one we would want to get just for the quality. Firepower, and through here again, all of these, like sorry, one of the things I didn't show here, I wanted to show you, these are the basic components we had a look at through here. Then we actually have more intricate components where when we actually get it, we don't just research the hull, like the rhomboidal hull, which we also then get all of these other things as well. So what we end up getting is we end up with the Mark 1 hull, and it shows us in through there what these actually are. So we've got these, and if we click on these, it'll then open up. This is the volume limit, so maximum armoured internal volume that the tank can practically have. Avoid yellow and red bulbs, as these will cause a variety of design defects in the tank. I'm not sure what that refers to be honest, but the intricacy is crazy. This is the number, the firepower, the number of shells it can carry. Now, what this is doing is it's showing if you use the Mark 1 design, which has got 14 shells it can actually then store, you can put a shell storage Mark 1 in there, which is still shell storage Mark 1, and increase that 23 by +9. There's the shells. It gives you an extra 9. But it also takes up a bit more volume and adds to the mass, the overall mass of the actual design. And so again, you're sort of adding on to different components as things actually do happen. So that's the hard firepower. You've got the soft firepower with the ammo through here. This is for the secondary weapons, and so we don't see anything in through here. There is actually going to be more down this other end in through this other side. And so all of these components, I won't go through them in detail, but all of these components actually add on to how the tank performs. Vision port Mark 1. This is basically a vision port is protected by a hinged armoured flap. It improves battle awareness without exposing the crew to unnecessary hazards. And so this allows them to be able to spot things a little bit better. So they actually have a crew awareness of 2, for example. And again, these then help with, it says down the bottom through there, a key attribute is in the reconnaissance phase of the battle, and one of the key defence attributes when it comes to all steps of the battle loop. And so this actually then allows them, by having this vision port on the actual tank, it allows them, the tank, to actually be more aware of its surroundings, again, which is really interesting. This one through here, hinged a slap of armour that can be used to exit the tank in emergency, thereby saving lives. Now, this is actually on top of the tank, which is where this thing goes. So I don't know if that's actually on a hinge or something, but anyway, this is so they all do different things. Like crew safety goes up with having this one, so it makes them feel more secure. We've got like the top thickness like of the tank goes up with this one as well. The top ricochet goes up a little bit. This is a hull door at the back of the tank, the back of what we have through here, where we have like ricochet things again for the armor penetration phase of the battle. And so the battles go through a series of loops until someone wins the battle. And while that's actually happening, the tanks are then under pressure, abstracted through their various, they're being attacked with different sorts of weaponry, depending on what the enemy tanks have got, and the enemy groups firing at the actual tank. And so the tank is then going through a series of, I guess, random rolls, I would imagine, to see what happens in the actual battle itself. And so you get a performance based on all of these different components. They all add into what happens in here. But the wonderful thing with this is you've actually got choice with a lot of these things as to which way you go. They all add cost. When you bring all those costs together along with what we have in through here, you end up with a fairly expensive, tank design. So anyway, that's the rhomboidal design. As we come through to other ones, I don't know if we can see the others. Yeah, this one here is the medium whippet, which is actually a smaller tank, much smaller tank, but it's got like different criteria back and through here again as well. The Vision Port Mark 1 should already be done. That should be part of this one, I think. Division port Mark 1. So that's already been researched. So if we have to do this before we can get to this medium hull. But if we did get there, that one's already been researched, so we don't have to spend the time researching that one through there. So not that we have any choice with if we choose this one, all of this is part of what's actually going to be happening. And this one it's required machinery, so riveting focus, so reduction of production costs due to available riveting machinery. So these are things where we have to then structure our factory to then specialise in these sorts of tanks. And so that's another facility we have to look at. It's, as I say, I can't do justice to the game. Seriously, I just can't do justice to how detailed this game actually is. Wow, it's already over half an hour and I'm still only in the design phase. I can't believe it. Anyway, I hope this is helpful because it's really quite cool. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and select the light machine gun, which will then bring in. So this one here is like the original one down through here. The top feed, the light top feed machine gun is the Lewis gun, and so we've got the Lewis gun already there. Now we don't have to go with anything different. In fact, maybe we won't, because this one doesn't add a hell of a lot of differences. The soft firepower goes to 101. The other one was that's pretty reasonable, to be honest. Let's do it. We'll grab that one. This is going to take 15 days to research all of this stuff, and so these are all the different barrels, the barrel inserts, the magazines, and these will then add it into the mass, the accuracy, the rate of fire. These are all things that then help with the overall design. So the firepower is, you've got the accuracy. The accuracy is coming through from the barrel insert and the barrel itself. So we're getting sort of like a various, like a 14, like 7 for the actual Hotchkiss design itself, or the machine gun itself, plus the other components that are then researched and placed into it as well. Let's just go with that one. So we're going to select that. We are then going to start research. It's going to take 15 days. Done. Okay, so at that point, 20 engineers go across and start to work on that design to figure out how they can then sort of make that one then work in the actual tank itself. All right, so let's get out of here. So when you press escape, it's a bit funny. Like I would have thought escape would take you back out to the factory, but it doesn't. I wish it did. I really wish it did, because it's one of those natural things that you press. So if you're listening in Micropros, then that would be cool if that was actually the case, rather than actually pressing escape. If you press escape at the moment, you go back to saving or whatever else you might want to be doing. Anyway, I'll just go back to the factory. Let's now look at the engineering bureau. And so this one again, we've got other different things we can sort of build in around this one, where they specialise in various types of equipment when they're actually sort of doing their work. Is there anything that we really want to be doing through here? This just provides a bit of a boost. Discovering out of the ordinary answers to commonplace. Yeah, let's do this one, Breakthrough Bureau. A bit of a skunk work, so we'll build that one as well. I'm just building like one extra building in around where we are. Again, they always start off with just 4 facility slots in around where they actually are with what they're doing. And we'll just go into its process line. Again, have a look and see what they've got in through this other side. This is the specialised attributes that they will then actually have, which you can then get from your facilities. There's a lot to do in here. Anyway, let's just start working inside here. Now, when you've finished designing something, this is where you come through to actually start to put the components together in an engineering sort of perspective. And so we're looking at hulls in through here. We've got the various casemates in through this other side as well, or the sponsons actually, not the casemates. So sponsons, we've got different sorts of guns. And again, we can actually go through and actually change things. I'll show you this in just a minute as well, how this one actually does work. The Lewis gun that we actually had, we've got the engines as well. And so all of these different components, you can then go and chop and change these as you research them, and then restructure what does go on, and then finally the actual running gear. Now, sometimes you're going to end up with different sorts of modifications. You've got the different sorts of modifications down through here. Occasionally they'll sort of show you, this is an idler Mark 1, which is what's showing back over this other side. The road wheels back in through here. At the moment, we've only got like one set that we can then go and place, the sprocket assemblies, and you can see them being added into what's actually happening through here. And then we've got the this one's empty. We don't actually have anything for the cooling vanes, and we don't have anything for the track-ins for the centipede. And so these haven't been discovered yet. And so this is all we actually have is these different aspects of the design. So again, if you're into the workings of how these old tanks sort of worked, it's so well done in this sort of instance where you've actually got the information there for you, which is really cool. So part of the running gear assembly that transmits rotation from one shaft to the other. This one here is road wheels. So and you can see them appear across here where it pushes down on the actual track itself. So this is part of the running gear assembly that transfers the vehicle's weight to the bottom length of the track, which I never thought of. I never thought about that before, but when it sort of goes down, you want your weight on the bottom. You don't want it all over the place. And so this one just sort of keeps it forced down there. I don't think we can sort of zoom in too much with that one, but it's I just love what they've done with this. It's fantastic. Sprocket wheel. I could look at this all day. I really like it. Part of the running gear assembly that transfers rotation from the engine to the tracks. So you've got these different aspects, which again you will be able to get different modifications. But the overall component is essentially the centipede track. Now, what we have is if we end up, we don't have anything we can change with this. So basically that's what it is. Now I could assign all of those together and get them done. But when we start the game, we already have the Centipede Mark 1 tracks. And so when I click on that one, this is the final design. And so this has got all of those different components in there. We don't have any choice to bring these ones off. So that's that one. We've already got the Centipede Mark 1 completed in engineering. We've got the engine as well. We don't have any other modifications we can do in through here. If you have a look at them, when we click on these, we'll get the different modifications. There's nothing else we can do, but again, it gives you such detail of what all these different engine components do. And so when we go back to the actual components together, when they're all put together, we have the Daimler Knight 6-cylinder Mark 1 engine. And this is it here, which is now ready. It's been engineered. It's ready to go into the actual tank itself. That's what it looks like. So that's actually already been done, completed. So we don't need to do that one. Now this one here, the Lewis gun, you can see that we've got a few different things in through here. This one here is optional. So the barrel insert. But with the barrel insert and through here, it's a bit hard when it does do that, actually. I might just go back to components. I'll try not to click on it if we can help it. Just go back out this way and then click on that one there. So this is actually if we wanted to change things up. So I could, if I wanted to, ditch this one. We only have one modification for that, for the barrel insert. So the barrel insert is back out here, I think. I think it's at this end of what actually happens. And so this is going to aid the accuracy. Now, it sort of says a device fixed to the muzzle of the secondary weapon is intended to improve its performance. So we've got things, for example, like the accuracy. And when we hover over this, we can then start to see, okay, well, what's this component doing? How is it working? And the barrel insert is giving us +2 to the actual accuracy, which is fairly substantial, the barrel itself. So if we had different barrels, we could then come in and change those. One thing we actually do have is the magazines. If you go and click on the magazines, we've got the circular magazine, but we also have a side loading magazine as well, which will then sort of change, like what changes? The rate of fire is 11 with this one. If we go to this one here, the rate of fire goes up. The anti-ricochet goes to 12, it was 10, and the damage goes up as well. And so if we wanted to engineer this gun with this, let's just do this as an example. And we also then have, so we've got two choices there with the modifications. And then as we research things, we're going to get more and more modifications. And so this one does cost more money. So the money cost goes up, the man-hour cost goes up, and the total cost goes up as well. But we do get a better performing machine gun out of this. The stock, we don't have a choice. That's just going to be what it is. And so with those in mind, if we go back to the components, we now have this this magazine that's now changed. And so we do actually have we've got the Lewis Mark 1, which is completed. This is now the Lewis that we're now dealing with, is this one here, the Mark 2. And so we can, if we wanted to, tell them to go and start to work on that one. We could also, we could do it that way. Actually, no, that's different again. That's completed there. I'll just go no. Yeah, so that's the one with that's got the top area back in through there. So this is the one, if we wanted to go and change a new one, we could then go and change that one across, bring that one back, go to components, and then we've got the new one, which then has to be assigned, and it's going to take 2 days to build that one. We could do that one, I guess. So that would be easy to do. We could also go back to the hulls, and And with the Mark 1, we have different components in here as well. Like if we wanted to sort of strip this one right down. In fact, let's make a machine gun type weapon. We'll go back to the machine guns. We'll just get that one done. So we'll just go back into here, change that one to the magazine, which is going to be a little bit better. And just go back to the components. With that one there, we'll assign that. Now we have 20 engineers working on this as well. 2 days to actually put this, this design together, or the engineering for this, so that it's ready to then be placed into the actual designs. So we'll leave that one where that is. We'll just get back out of here. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make the game go fast at 5 times. This is the tutorials. I'm just going to press escape just to bypass these, and we'll just keep on sort of moving forward. There we go. 2 days later, it's now the 3rd. And so we've got the Lewis Mark II has now been produced. Let's now put this into the design. It always pauses, so there's no pressure on whatever you're doing. The pressure comes from trying to fulfill your requirements. Now we've got that one established. If we go into the Design Bureau, and again we've got different facilities, etc., but we can go into the actual design lines themselves. And this is probably the most fun part of the game, to be honest, where you actually try to put together a tank that's viable. And so let's do that. Let's do exactly that. So if we go into, we've got designs, if we go into, and we've got components as well, but if we go into create design, we already have a Mark 1 start in through here. If we would need to have this is from the engineering department. And so if we go across, we need to start off with a chassis. So we have to start off with the components. This one dictates what can then go on this particular component as well. So when we bring one of these in, this has already been designed for us. Now I'm thinking of changing some of these things as well to make it even cheaper, like getting rid of the flywheels at the back and the roof as well. I think we can get away with that with this particular design. So it then comes in essentially ready for construction. You can see all the rivets. So it's got rivets, which is going to be dangerous. It's got shell storage. Now I am going to be wanting to get rid of this stuff. In fact, what I might do is I'm going to go and change this. I'm going to go back and actually get a cut down version of this. We're going to go cheap and nasty. And to do that, I'm just going to go straight back to engineering again. So that's reverse engineering. This is engineering. So when we get other enemy tanks, we can go to reverse engineering. So let's just make a machine gun guy. So we don't need shell storage. Bang, go. So that one's now disappeared. What else don't we need? Let's make this one as cheap as we possibly can. So we're actually now in the Mark 1 series. We don't have this. This is what was sent through to the for construction, but this is actually what we're going to be building. So shell storage goes. There's not many of these will have modifications as we go through them. But some of these, like the roof, we can get rid of the roof. So let's just chop that one off. This will then save us a little bit of time, a little bit of resources, and the tail wheel will make it a little bit less, it'll make it more difficult to cross trenches and things like that in battle, but it all adds weight to what's going on. There's the rear hatch. We've got everything else sort of in there. So that's the modifications. We'll just go back. So that's a really cut down version of the actual hull. And so we're just going to go through and click on the hull itself. And that will do us. I think we'll just assign, this is 12 days to get this hull. So let's assign that one. This is going to be, actually I should have named that one something different. It's called the Mark 1. I can go back to the design. Actually I can go back. I have assigned it. Let's actually unassign that and ditch that one. Remove. But we are going to now name this one. So we're going to just call this one the minimal. There we are. And now we'll just we can save that one, or we can just assign it. And so the minimal is now going to be what we actually end up having. That's going to take 18 days, actually, in this case, to go and build. Oh, there's 9 days left on this one. I don't know why there was already half the time. That seems to be wrong. Anyway, that's fine. So 20 of the engineers are working on this one as well now. So we'll just go across, and I think that's more than, we've got too many. We've got 10 that are idle, 20 in the research, 20 in engineering. Actually, this is still in engineering. This is okay. We might need to get some more engineers as well, just to work on the designs once they're actually being done as well. So we'll need to get a few more engineers and hire them. So let's just go back out, and we'll just go back out to the actual factory itself. And when we see it, we've got 18 days for this one, 58 days for that one. So we'll just let it go forward. There'll be other things that will come up as well. News, more tanks required through here. Just leave that one where that is and keep it going. Just press the space bar. These will come down. Don't forget to invest in component development. Yeah, we're doing all that. Thank you. Okay, so engineering completed on the minimal, so that's now been done. So we've designed what sort of we want to have. Let's now go back into the design bureau and actually figure out, let's actually design something up. So we've got research, engineering, reverse engineering, and then design to actually start a line of tank design. Now, this is, as I say before, one of the most fun parts of the game because there's all sorts of different things you can do with this. And if we have a look at this one through here, you can see that there's like mass limits, volume limits. These are the sorts of things that are going to come up, particularly if you're trying to then meet a particular requirement from one of the governments. But typically what you'll be doing is actually building a design and then just trying to flog the design to whoever will actually take it. And that's what we're going to do here. We're just going to create a design that doesn't have... Actually, maybe we could put a gun on the side of it. Let's actually just go through and to go through what actually happens. Now, the first thing we need to do with the components is select the hull. We only have 2 hulls, I think. So if we go back in, actually, where is it? Where is it? That's actually not showing. Oh, it's crate design. So we have both of these have been engineered. We've got our minimal. Grab the minimal. That then comes in. So this is what we're going to be working as our... That's the back of it. That's the front of it. You've got sort of like holes everywhere. This is ready for construction. So with this one in here, we've got... So all the different bits and pieces we had on here is where we sort of start. We don't actually have the extra hull, the storage in through this other side. So from here, we just select the components that go into it. Now, the different tanks will have different types of things you can then go and put in them. We've got 2 to choose from in here, either the Mark 1 with all the extra stuff on it, or this minimal, which has been chopped right down. So we've got the 2 different types. So we then go into the actual power unit. We've only got one that's been completed. This is the Daimler Knight 6-cylinder. Bang, in she goes. So that's now been placed. If we go back to the hull, we'll then sort of see it on the inside. So that's actually what the inside of the tank is looking like, with this big engine sitting in the middle of it where everyone's got to then try to sort of work in around it. So we can see they've got a couple of seats at the front. It's a bit hard to sort of see it there, but it does model everything very, very well. All right, then we've got the running gear, so we can go into here. We've only got one of the centipede tracks, so we'll go and throw that one on. As we do this, we start to see other things appearing over here. This is essentially the score rating of the tank itself as we sort of try to put this one together. So we've now got the the tank tracks on it. From here, once we put these on, we then end up getting a few other little components. These have got components on the side where we can then go and add turrets. And so if we go and click on this turret through this other side, we can either put in a male sponson in through here, which has been engineered, or we can put an armoured plate. So if I click on that one, we get a sponson where we can then put a turret, or we go through the armoured plate and we just seal it up. Now I'm going to put a male sponson on here, and we then actually have from that one, we go to the other side, and let's put one on here as well, because typically what you're thinking is, okay, let's deck it right out. I'll show you why that may not be a good idea. If we then go, when we do this one, we get 2 more primary weapons then come into the design itself. So the only one we have is the Hotchkiss. We can put an armoured gun seal in as well, which basically just stops it. And what this one does is, I think that this then makes it a little bit easier to see through it. So you could do it that way as well. So you do actually have like a little viewport back into this other side. If we got rid of that and put that in there instead, I'm just trying to see what actually changes as we do that. I'm not seeing any changes down into here. So it's mainly up through here with the crew componentry. So if we went with this one, we'd probably need the extra shells if we were going to do what we're going to be doing in here. And then we go to the other slot over this other side, and instead of using the armoured gun seal, we end up with a 6-pounder in through that side as well. So we've now got two of the 6-pounders on either side, and then we've got the final one is the one at the front. Now we've got a few different things. We've got our Lewis Mark II, or we could just put the machine gun seal over the top of it as well. Again, we want to go with the Lewis Mark II. Now, one thing you'll notice is as we're doing things, we're getting these different crew requirements where we actually now have every single component adds to the actual requirements for the crew to be able to operate it effectively. And so if you don't meet these crew requirements, you can still do it, but it's just not going to work all that well. And so the commander, we've got the Mark 1 requires 3 commander points, and each of the male sponsons require him to be able to then operate on each of those, which means we need 5 commander points. So that would be that one through there. The driver, for example, is just the Mark 1, just requires 4 driver components. The gunnery, as we've got 4 on each of the Hotchkisses and 2 for the Lewis. So we've got 10 total gunner points. Loader points, we've got the loaders for each of the Hotchkiss back on the other sides, and then we've got the mechanic back in the other side here as well. Now we want to create a really cheap tank. So I'm going to go and ditch a lot of this stuff that we're doing. So the mechanic, we've got the Centipede tracks are 5, and the Daimler Knight is 5. So we're going to need to have 10 mechanic slots pretty much no matter what we do. So let's go and get rid of a few of these things. So let's go and ditch the Hotchkiss, ditch that one through there. We still have to put something in here. So we can't, like when we go back into these, we still have to do something with this. If we leave the sponsons here, if we ditch them completely, does that, yeah, that changes. Crew safety goes up when we do that one. So the crew safety just went up by ditching the sponson. So it went from 6. We also have operation range, etc., and road speed goes down, I think. Yeah, it goes up with road speed. It's actually safer for us. It's easier for us to get rid of these things and just seal them off. So let's just do that, just for the sake of the exercise. I know it's not fun, but there's a lot of other videos out there of these things in firing. This is just going to purely have the little gun at the front. But look what this has done to all of our points. We've now got three commander points, 4 driver points, 2 gunnery points, 0 we don't need loaders anymore, and we still need the 10 mechanic points. And so that's the next phase. If we go with this design, we could then just go into selected crew, and then we've got different commander, like this one here is coming in with the crew points is 4. So he will, by bringing in the commander, he'll be 1 over what's required. So we'll just go and bring him into that first slot. We only have 6 slots in this one because we don't actually have the sponsons. So we've got that one in through there. That's a 4 of 3. We need a driver, so we'll just go click on the next one. That's going to be the driver in through there. These are the different roles that can be in here. So this one can either be a gunner, a loader, or a commander. This one can be either a gunner, a mechanic, or a driver. And so we can choose what we require through here. And these remaining ones are all mechanics, loaders, and gunners. We can sort of have them as combinations. Now, that satisfies our commander, satisfies our driver. Now we know that we need to have only 2 gunnery slots. If we have a look at the gunner, if we just click on this one through here, we have a gunner up through here where it's 4 crew points, which is actually more than what we need. And we need to get 10 mechanics. So I could go with 1 crew and then just go with 3 mechanics, for example. And then that will give me 12 of 10 and 4 of 2. But we can get rid of one of these because one of the other things we can do is go back to our gunner in this instance. And if we just scroll through here, we can get a gunner loader where we have 2 points in the loader and 2 points in gunner, 2 points in loader, 2 in gunner mechanic. So they're the different things we can actually have in that slot there. We can have hybrids. And so in this case, we can go with a gunner mechanic, which then gets us down to 2 in through here. And by getting rid of that last crew slot, we end up with more space in the tank. And we've satisfied all of our crew requirements. So this is actually working in very, very well. So we're not using anywhere near the volume limit inside the tank. The mass is nice and light. And so this is just a little machine gun tank. It's going to be cheap to build. We are going to be able to build it quickly. And so there's benefits for doing this one. If we went back to the selected components, we could go, for example, to this one here and change it to a male sponson, and then go to the actual to the gun that's actually there. Just have 1 gun, and so we still don't have all of the stuff inside. If we wanted to do it this way, we now are missing with our gunner and loader, but now we actually have more crew slots available to us. So we have 5 of 8. And so in through this other side, we can then just go back into selected crew. We've got more that we can do in through here. So we have a gunner mechanic again already. We can just go into one of these and make another gunner. That then gets us our 6 points. We need a loader now as well. So the loader's going to be inside trying to help with that one. That's satisfied. We still have 1 extra slot, so that works. We're fine with what we actually have with this one through here. Now, as we design these, we end up with getting different sorts of defects. We don't really know what they will be until we test it. So we have to basically make this design, and then we have to go with it. Now, why don't we go with this just so I can show you? I will do it this way, rather than having it really cut down. We'll just make this the design that we go with the actual 6-pounder on the side, and then one machine gun. But on the other side, on this other side over through here, we'll do nothing. So we'll just leave that one through there. So that's actually so we've done the components, we've done the crew. We then go to the expendables, and in the expendables, we then, depending on what, like eventually we'll have lots of different sorts of shells we can bring in, but initially we only have one type, which is just a high explosive Mark 1 shell. And so we have to bring it in, basically. We've got no other choice. I'm pretty sure we do. Yeah, actually that one doesn't have a description yet. If we go back to these have already got, can't have insert duplicate expendables. This one through here. So we're dictating the loadout, and we've also just got standard ammo Mark 1. So as we get other ammo types, we're going to be able to then put that in as well. And then finally we've just got the fuel. So the petrol 045. And these have also then got different slots. The operational range is 10%, the power unit 10%. And so as we get other fuel and as we get other different things, these all have a bearing on the performance of the tank. It's intricate, but you don't have to know about it. Like, we haven't been looking at any of this stuff, but it all has a bearing. So if you want to really min-max your design, you can. I've min-maxed this. We've got problems in through here, but every design is going to have its little design problems. So let's just go with this one. That's actually the expendables. Then finally, your paintwork is very simple. You just have, like, different types of colors that you can then sort of put on it. Different sorts of ways to do it. Let's just leave it like that, for example. There's not too many to have. I was wondering actually if you could put your own in. I would be keen on doing that, to be honest, but I'm not sure if you can. I haven't seen anywhere where you can actually sort of load in your own stuff. And so it's going to take us 24 days to actually put this design together, which is not very much because this is a simple design. So we can get ahead of the game here a little bit by doing something like this. So let's assign that to our engineers. Now we can have up to 30 engineers working on this particular line. So we assign that. In progress, 24 days left. Okay, that's cool. Now, we don't need to in engineering anything going on just yet. We've still got the 50 in through here. We've got 20 now working in the research and 30 now working in design. There's no idle because there's no engineers working in the engineering department. So let's just go back out to the factory and just see what actually happens in here now. I should have renamed it. Anyway, it's called the minimal. It'll be okay. Let's just let this thing run at 5 times speed. Again, we're going to have different sorts of things to increase our production capability. We'll have a look at that one. Actually, we might just do that one. We'll do it when we get there. I just want this to be sort of like a flow through of the different buildings and what they all do. We haven't built a building in through this other side just yet. Let's just keep it going. Research complete now in the light side feed machine gun. So we could actually now go and replace that one, for example, and get a better quality machine gun. So we can get like a Mark II of the minimal. But let's not bother with doing that one. But that's sort of what we could then go and back in and do. So actually with that research, actually we do need to go back in, and don't ever let what I just did then happen. Always go back in and do the research. So firepower, we've done that one through there. Mobility, let's go and get the low pass running. Let's go back to the structures and get ourselves the RHA steel. So we'll start that one. 30 days to do that one. Yeah, you don't want to be stopping what you're doing. Now this is actually now a position where the engineers that we're doing, these guys are still going to keep on doing. If we now go back in, and I'll just go back through the way that we're doing it. If we go across to engineering. Now we just built that machine gun. If we go across to the secondary weapons, you'll see there that the Lewis guns are fine. We can just sort of leave them at the top. But the Hotchkisses have only just come in. We do actually have this one. Actually, this one's working. So this one's, we don't have to do anything else in there. Did we actually set that one up already? Well, we already set it up. Or did we? No, we didn't. It is completed anyway. That's the engineering. This would now be available for designs. It's funny, I don't remember actually setting that one up for what we had to do in through here. We had done that. Oh, hang on. When this one comes through, it comes through already with what its son has. We can then make additional changes to that one. So this is ready to go back into the design area if we wanted it to. So I don't need to do anything else in here just yet, unless we wanted to do more modifications with what we're doing for these different tank designs. On we go. Well, news. The Holt Manufacturing Company, this is our main rival. As the war begins, nations struggle to send supplies to the front, and machine gun nests become a significant problem. To resolve this issue, Britain has already entered into talks to apply the potential of Caterpillar tracks to the battlefield. So they're starting to now gear up. It's funny because it talks about the war, but they're not at war. There is no war. There is no war. Let's continue on. Now they've just done the building for the. So we've now got a different building back over through here. This one's still doing its. That's researching the blueprints. It's still building the facility back over that way as well. I just want to get through. Like, you know, you'll be putting in other buildings in and having a close look. I'm not going to do that in this case. William Triton is available for hire now. I get him all the time, so I don't know if he's random. I don't know if his stats are random. I haven't checked that. I'm hoping that this will be random like when the game sort of does go further along. Anyway, he's available for hiring. And so at this point in time, we can now bring him in. So your company's reputation is increasing. As a result, a new top executive has offered his services and is now available for hire. And when we close this, it stays paused. We go to the administration building. And we just go inside the process line, or we just click on administration there, either one of those. Now, when we're in here, here he is. So he's actually over here. He requires a salary of $3,500 monthly, so he's actually fairly expensive, but he does give different bonuses. So he gives an assembly focus, so man-hour cost reduction for tank production. That's just great. The workers per line goes up to 50. So we've got 50 per line. Then we've got delivery time focus, so reduction of tank delivery time by 10%, and also the reduction of resource delivery time. So he actually speeds the whole process up. So we want him controlling our factory, so where the actual production is happening. And so, so what do we have in through here? You can purchase and sell. Yeah, that's okay. Let's just go ahead and grab him and hire him. So he has now been hired. Will arrive in 5 days. That's okay. We won't hire any more workers or engineers just yet, so we can hire them from here as well, but we'll do that one later on. And we'll just wait for him to arrive. Okay, don't forget the engineering, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Let's not worry about the tutorial. I'm just going to skip over the... I would strongly suggest that you follow what they say, but I'm just wanting to make this so that it makes sense in terms of the flow of how you play the game. Now, we've got one more day before we get this one. Now we've just got the design has been completed with the minimal, and so we now actually have this, and I should have renamed that. Sorry, I'm sort of skipping ahead of different things. I'm conscious of how long this is already taking to even get to this part here. So with the design, we now have the design. We can go to the proving grounds, I think. So we can just click on this one through this other side. I don't know if are these the proving grounds. Yeah, that's the proving grounds there as well. This will just flick around. This is the proving grounds where the tanks sort of put through their paces. Now the trial range, we only have one line in here that we can do as well. So we go and grab this. And you can see over time there'll be administrators in here as well. So we have the trial range 0 of 1. Maintenance is 2,500 per month. The facility slots 0 of 4. So not that we can put any facilities in this one at this stage. Administrator slots 0 of 1. Now, I don't know why you do it, but this one here is going to be looking at different defects. So we've got all these different defects when we did the design, and we need to now test it to see what we can do to try to correct it. And so these are the basic trials. We just go and test this one. Actually, that one is, we click on it, and it's going to take 8,000 to cost to actually do it, and we just do the test. 12 days left to actually run it through its paces. So this is now going to be sort of testing everything to see what we can do to tweak the design. Just press escape and let the game run forward again. Again, I should be doing other things. William has just arrived. So let's now go and place him inside the production hall. Or, yeah, no, we'll do that now. So we'll go to the production hall. We've got the administrators here because this is where he will be working. So we'll go and click on him. He goes into there. We don't have anything for him to do just yet, but he'll just sit there and become acquainted with the team, with all the workers, and so he'll then be he'll be cracking the whip. Now we have a few different things in through here. The riveting call is one thing that they do advise that we get, so let's go and grab that one. This provides a bonus for 10% for riveting focus, particularly if we're building these early tanks. We can demolish these things afterwards. Once we sort of get nuts and bolts and things, we may sort of change that, but let's actually go with the riveting hall for now. Just go and build that one. And so 40 days left for that one through there. Okay, back we go. Just press escape. We won't go into the production line just yet. And unpause. So, okay, we can test drive tanks as well. I might show you that. Let's do that once we actually sort of get into production. That way I can just show you how that actually works. You don't have to do the test driving. I think that initially it's fun to do it, and then it sort of wears a bit thin after a little while. It's not the focus of the game, even though it looks really cool. Let's just wait for this to happen. We're nearly done. And done. So research is now complete on RHA steel as well. So we've got a few different things. So we've got the minimal, the tank trials have been completed, and also research was completed. So we want to go back into here, and we want to go back in and then just change the production line for the research. Let's just go for the whippet. So the small thing, it's going to get all of these things as well. So we'll just go and say, yep, start it, 39 days. So we'll get that one done, and we'll just make good with everything else we actually have with what we're doing in the meantime. All right, that's all cool. We'll just go back out again. Now our tank design has just come out of the proving grounds, and there was defects. We had 8 different defects on the actual tank itself, and you're going to end up with all sorts of different defects. It's always going to happen. So now we go, after we've gone to the proving grounds, we now take it back to the design bureau, and we'll go back into the process line. And when you have nothing selected, this is just gives you a bit of rundown on what they're going to be looking at. You know, the repairability, reliability, firepower, soft, firepower, hard, protection. These are all the ratings of the actual tank. So if we go and click on the minimal, which then comes in, we've got all of these different defects. So this attribute, the crew performance, has got 4 different defects. And so we've got crew awarenesses of 3. If we go and click on this one, it then comes up and says blocked vision ports. It's limited. So we've got the crew awareness is severely limited when vision ports are blocked. So amend the defect to reduce this penalty. And so at the moment, it's giving us less reputation, and also we're getting a -5 with the actual crew with what they can see. Now, if we improve it, it's going to cost 2,500, but the improvement is going to not then diminish our achievement points, but it's going to make this go up by a little bit more. So crew awareness is currently 3. We amend it, we go up to 5. So it went from -5 to -3. So it's still not great, but it's better than what it was. Crew aiming, same sort of deal. Back in through here, we can sort of see that we are getting two points difference, and we're not getting any sort of any problem with our achievements. So let's go and do that one for this cost. This is all coming out off our money, so we just go and do that one. The next one is crew safety. This one here we have again same sort of penalty that's actually happening through there. We'll just amend it, so blocking the evacuation routes. So it tells you, it's so cool. Like if you're into tanks and tank design and stuff like that, it covers the basics of different things. Not that you can design a tank with this, but it really is so in depth and very, very insightful. I love this sort of stuff because it gives you such an insight into history and what it must have been like to be inside one of these tanks. So the crew so this one here again, same sort of deal. We're just getting a bit of we're getting a bit of improvement. So I'll spend the money with all this. We've still got a lot of money. Then we actually have mobility. So the mobility, now we've got the obstacle step height. So it tells you everything again what's going on through here. So we have insufficient roller travel in what we've actually done with our design at this stage. So we go and click on this one through here. It changes just our reputation. So no translation found. So okay, that's a typo, not a typo, but that's missing description. But amend the defect to reduce the penalty. Now we don't actually reduce the penalty at all here, but we do reduce in this one. It's only 500. Let's just pay the money. It's almost like pretending that we've fixed something. Then we've got the operational range through here. This is for the petrol. This one will actually, again, do nothing other than do our reputation. It doesn't cost anything. So this is just sort of like, putting a bit of paintwork over something and saying, yep, that's been done, guys. So don't worry about that one. Don't look at that. Road speed, again, we know no change in through here. Only $500 here, we'll pay it. And so that's now got all of the changes have now been done. Look at how detailed this is. No, it's not all of them. We still have structure. So the structure itself, we've got a crammed environment with a crew limit. Now we did actually leave one crew member out, which should have actually helped that one. Let's just go back across into here. This one does help. This one's 2,500. So we do actually end up cramped conditions inside the tank, drastically worse than crew conditions. So amend the defect. Now it's still cramped, but not as bad as what it was. So we're just fixing up the inside of the tank. And so all of those defects have now been addressed. for this tank. We don't have to take it back through the testing again. That the testing was for this particular one through here. Now that was the name I should have saved. Actually, I wonder if I can do it now. I'll just call it the mini blaster. Here we go. So that's it there. So we did actually manage to resave the one in through that side. You can switch the camera if you're sort of looking closely at something. You can then go and switch it. But this is now a tested design. All the defects have gone, and so our rating for this tank will go up higher and higher because of what we just did. So with that tank, it's actually now ready for production. So let's go back out to the factory floor, or you can go straight to production in through here. But let's go back out just so you get the context of where we are in the flow of what's actually happening. Look, before we do that, let's just take this thing for a test drive. We don't have to, but let's just go and do it. So this is not going to do much. So we just get the mini blaster, which we've just created. And so this is actually where we go through and go through the paces with this thing. So we just go to test drive, tier 1, start. And so we then go into a 3D model. I've been trying to pause out those different things. So this one here, now I'll just go through, I won't go through this in any sort of great speed, but you've got the RPM, the kilometers per hour, the fuel gauge into the other side. You'll notice that we've got the primary weapon. This will then try to aim at whatever I'm pointing at. See how it's coming up? It's pretty cool because it gives you, it's tricky with what this thing's trying to do with inside its casemate. Sponson. It's inside the sponson, sorry. So it's actually trying to aim at where I'm pointing. So I can aim at that rock, but it's sort of one of these things where I'm going to have to, this is the important thing when we're trying to get the targets. If I press number 2, we get our Lewis gun. So if I just press number 2, we then actually have the Lewis gun, and that's what we can aim at. Now we also have a limited field of fire with the actual Lewis gun as well. So we have a bit of left and right. So let's now move forward. It's just WASD. So let's get this tank sort of operating. Now there's actually a, you have to get across this area through here. This is a trench. Now we don't actually have, we sort of minimized this so it's going to struggle a little bit with trenches, but that was not a problem for this guy, for the mini blaster. Now I'm just got to move this one around. So it's just a bit of a course. And again, you don't have to do this. But if you are going to do it, you want to do it quickly. Now there's targets back over here, so I can actually just switch to number 1 with the other one, and we'll just try to actually. This is more Lewis gun type stuff. Let's just get the number 2 again, and we'll just start to fire at this when it sort of hits that one. That one's done. That's got it there as well. Up we go. So a bit of a burst with the Lewis gun. Now you can see that we've got the Lewis gun with 489. That's the quantity of bullets we've got left. So we'll just move this one down. We just have to take it through the obstacle course. Bring it around. It's actually quite maneuverable because we don't actually have all that extra stuff on it. It is a light tank. Just bring it in through here. I don't know if these obstacle courses will change as you get to more modern tanks. I'm guessing it's going to have to. Now we've got this one over through here. Let's just switch to our main weapon. Oops, I missed. It's reloading and still missed. Aiming high. Still got 47. There we go. I got it. Now we've got more targets back over there. These are going to be the Lewis gun targets. We don't have to do these, but let's just go across. Again, you may find in some of these targets, like I can't quite get what I need. I'm going to have to get a bit more height, so I may have to go down to a bit of a slope. See how it's now coming back up. So just we have to try to find where we get a bit of a sweet spot to do this. Should fall back. Let's move this one around. Need to go back down the slope a bit more, or we go a bit closer to it. That other one did fall down a little bit. Let's just go further in. One's down. Yeah, no, we've already hit those. That's all right. So we're down to 344 bullets on this in this particular run. We'll just go back down into the ditch and continue on around the track. So just give you a bit of a feel for how this thing's actually going to then perform. It's quite manoeuvrable. I mean, other tanks will be different, of course. So I've done that one. As I say, you don't have to do this. This is just for your own fun. Hey, it's a microprose game. It's a simulation game. Now we get out of that bog, which is good. Now we've got this one. I don't know what's down this way. Is there anything we need to do here? We may not have to do this. Maybe something here, I'm not sure. No, it looks like that's the back end. We're not supposed to go down that way potentially, I don't think. We're certainly supposed to go off this other way. Let's just get the tracks to maneuver around. And then straight up here, nice shiny new tank. And again, we've got more targets in here. So this is again where we've got, we've still got the Lewis gun, but we're not pointing the right way. It's not going to quite work. Let me try to get out of here. We bogged. I think we're bogged. I think we've bogged it, guys. Hit that rock. Oh, I can't move. Anyway, we can always finish this thing off. So let's just go and escape. Sure you want to quit? Okay. So that's the testing field anyway. We don't have to do it, but let's go in production. So that just gives you a bit of a feel for how that one sort of does work. It is fun doing it, but it's not the focus of the game. Right, production hall, in we go. So this is now going to be a bit more complicated. Well, not really complicated, it's just sort of more, we're into the next phase now. We're going to be starting to sort of just pump out the actual production line, the tanks and the production line. So there's a few little things we have to now go and look at and do. Now, we don't actually have any contracts yet. Our contracts appear up in through here. And so we've got nothing available, contracts in review, contracts in progress. So we don't have any, but they will come. They'll come pretty soon. So we're just going to take a bet. We've still got 595,000. And we're going to invest this into producing the tanks. We've got a heap of resources. So we've got lots and lots of resources to be able to build a fair few tanks, to be honest, and in the next bit of this we'll then go into the warehousing. But let's just go into the actual production lines and just get started in this aspect. Now this is line 1 of 1. We don't actually have any others in here just yet. So when we click on what we want to build, so we're going to click on the mini blaster, it will then sort of appear over here with the stats that we've actually then got established for it. This is actually not a bad little tank design, to be honest, just looking at the actual numbers that we see through here. And so we just have to figure out how many of these we're going to go and build. So let's go and build, say, 20 of them. And what we'll see is that as we do it, we end up with the manpower cost to actually sort of do the orders, the total cost in through here with in resources, the money cost, and then we've only got 240 staff at this stage, so we'll go back and correct that as well. But let's get up to say 20, because quite often the first contract will be about 20. So we'll go and do that one, and 51 days to go and actually produce these first 20. So we'll go and assign it. What we'll see is the numbers up through here will go to 240 out of 350. So we need 110 more to maximize the production line. Now, if we do that, we're going to be paying more. We could wait till we get the contract and then do it, or we could bite the bullet now and go and grab it. I think we'll wait until we get the contract, and then we'll actually increase the production capability by adding in more workers through our administration area. So anyway, that's sort of how that one all comes in. So that's all we need to do at this stage. They've been assigned 51 days left to actually fulfill the order. Let's go back out and go back to the factory ground. Now at this point we can see we've got 240 workers working in there, 51 days to produce the tank production, 29 days left to do the new facility. We've got one administrator working in here, so we're starting to get information very, very quickly. 13 days left to do the fire stations. The research bureau still got 40 days left to do the medium hull. We've got nothing going on in the design bureau or the engineering bureau at this particular point in time. Over time, we can then start to get like a bit of a mishmash of different things happening. But I think in terms of just going through how the game loop sort of then does work, we start administration back through this way into production and then start the production line itself. Now, what I think we might do is just quickly have a look at the warehousing at this point in time. We've still got a lot of money we can go and spend things on, but we have now invested a lot of our resources have now sort of started to come down. Now, I'm not looking at the specifics in through here. We'll go to the warehouse and bring in resources. So let's go to this next phase without unpausing the game just yet. So we'll go into warehousing, and again, we've got other different things we can do through here. For example, like increasing the number of tanks, like we can double our tank capacity, things like that if we wanted to. Now, we don't need to do that initially. That does cost us a bit more if we go and do it, 5,000 per month. So let's not do that one until we actually need to do it. But we do have the capability of ramping up as we go. So with our warehousing, let's just go into the process line in through here. Now this area is actually split into two. We actually have the warehouse for the resources storage back over this other side, and we also then have the warehouse for the tank storage. And when we click on it, it just goes across to this side. So this is actually just gives an indication. You'll notice that the interface changes. So we've got logistics companies. This is how we deliver tanks. We'll look at that a bit later on, but we'll just go back to the warehousing. And now it changes to purchase orders, basically, as to what we can buy. Now it's split the world up into Oceania, Europe, Asia, Middle East, Africa, North America, and we can then sell resources as well if we've got some that we want to get rid of, if we need money sort of fairly urgently. But in this case, each of these different places has got like an availability. So in terms of iron, look, we've got 15,000 iron at the moment. If we have a look at this one, we've got this 12,000 available in Oceania, and the total price. Actually, if we have a look at that one, it should actually tell us what the price will be. 3. Okay, that's the 3 and through there. If you look at Europe, it's 5. So Europe has got more, but it's cost more, but it's more reliable. So we can sort of get this one. It's high reliability, 3 days delivery, which means if we need it urgently, we can get it from Europe. And essentially this is the what's that one down there? That's 8 days there. I'm not sure what that actually was referring to. Anyway, that's the. This is actually where we can sort of then go and get things from the different areas. Asia is 7 days. Reliability back and through there. Oh, sorry, this is the deliveries from this market are considered to be medium reliability with a maximum potential delay. That's the delay, but this is the actual order, 21 days. So you do have to think ahead a little bit. So the Middle East is, looking at the prices overall, Middle East is fairly expensive. It's only medium reliability, 19 days. Africa is actually low reliability, so if you can actually order early, but you can get things very cheaply from Africa. So in this case, we're going to be wanting to buy our stuff from in here. So if we then go across, I can either just go through and start to ramp up the orders and put the amount that we want to get. They've only got 5,000 available in here. And then we've got North America as well, which is high reliability. It's only a very short delay, but still 31 days delivery, but reasonably expensive. So let's go to Africa, because this one is usually the cheapest. And one thing we can do is, instead of actually going through and actually just putting down buying whatever we want, we can go across and click on a design and then just say, okay, look, I want to order, like this is to order one of them. And so let's just keep on bumping this one up to say another 20 if we can. So okay, so we've got actually one or more of the requested resources exceeds available resources amount on the market. So we're now getting an order where we've gone over with the iron and the medium carbon steel. So we can get what's that, 6 of them from in here. But we can keep on ordering more and more if we wanted to. even though we really can't, well, we can't go beyond, actually we can keep on going beyond, but this is actually the total price. But in this sense, we don't really want to be doing that too much. Let's just go and get what we can from in here. We'll just go and get the resources to be able to build, say, 6. Or I can actually just bounce a few of these up. The rubber, let's just go and actually change. Actually, no, we won't do that. We'll just leave that one where that is. And so in this case, we'll just sign the order. So that's going to be low reliability in 28 days. Bang, done. So that's actually going to be coming from Africa. Let's just leave that one where it is. We've still got a fair bit in stock anyway. We might go back to Oceania was pretty cheap as well. That was 3. North America, 3 was pretty much the same. Yeah, that's pretty cheap. Either one of those. They're about the same. There's a lot more there than there is in. So we'll go to Oceania and we'll pick up even more. So we'll just go back into here again and just go and pick up another group. Now we've only got one line, so we can only have one at a time. So actually we can't do this because we can't actually go and add more into the line. So anyway, but we could have done that if we needed to. So anyway, 28 days left before this one comes in, but there's a high chance it's going to be delayed because it's unreliable getting it from the African market. So anyway, that's where we are. We'll go back out to our main factory, where we now see that the raw resource order is going to take 28 days before that one then comes in. So that's actually what we're looking at through there. Let's unpause the game. This will then start production. We're now just waiting for something to happen. A new tank has been revealed. According to the trustworthy sources, the William Foster Company has just completed a new design of the Vanguard tank, codenamed the Hector Mark I. Expect fierce competition for the upcoming contracts. So the contracts will be coming pretty soon. Let's just keep on unpausing. So we're bouncing through the days. This is the amount of, that's when we're trying to build different things in through there as well. The company appears to be doing well, but you need to delegate part of your burden to some, yeah, we've done the administrations, we've already done that one, so goodbye. Goodbye tutorial. So we're still pretty early into the game, but things are sort of now just pumping through. So we'll just let these do what they're going to do until we get the contract, and then we'll sort of ramp things up a little bit. Hopefully we get a delay so you can see what actually does happen. Actually, I should have that on ×5. World news, Holt and Hornsby tractors have been studied. So the British Army is enacting a study of tractor design. So it just gives you a bit of information. You can always go back and read more of the news as they come through. So, new factory facility has been built. We've got the ergonomics factory. Office has been done. So that's one thing that's been done. In fact, if I go and, that's the fire engine. And this one is the ergonomics. So they're the 2 different new little buildings that have been added into the factory complex. So that's it there. The other one down in this other side, over this other side. We've still got more research being done over this other side. I could go back in and build more of these facility buildings, but I'm not going to do it in this case. I just want to get through the process without getting too distracted. So financial report is ready. So we can actually have a bit of a look at this one. So predicted balance is only 367,000. So we're going to be losing money. It's going down. Still got 25 days and no contract yet. Now the resources did arrive with no delays. Let's go back into the warehouse again, and we'll go and grab more. Now Africa will have another amount of stock. So let's actually just keep on ordering from there as much as we can until it turns red. There we go. We can still get another 6. So we'll grab the 6, sign the order, and then we've got another 28 days coming for that one. So we're just going to keep on spending the money on the resources to get ready to actually build the tanks. We'll get out of here, back to the factory ground. Now when I'm back here, we can sort of see here we've got 22 days and there's 9 left to produce. We've produced 11 of them. We'll get the contract, and I'll show you how contracts then work. We've got the riveting hall now as well. Just go down to that one. Come on. Leave. Escape. Okay, that's fine. Accidents in the production hall. Casualty suffered, 36. So some of your employees have been injured as a result of carelessness. Improve your safety procedures to avoid future incidents. Now you're going to get this sort of stuff happening, which will then reduce the number of available workers to us. Let's go and figure that one out. Actually, we don't have a contract yet, so let's not bother with that one until we need to. If we go back down to the administration building, though, what we might do is actually try to fix so we don't actually have too many. We can get medical stations. which will then, the skilled medical staff lowers the risk of accidents and injuries for every employee by 10%. We'll go and build that one. I think that's important. So we'll go and grab that one right now. And here we go again. So there's been an accident there. Medium hull has now been researched. We'll now just get rid of that one and go back in and find something else to research. So I don't want to spend too much time with this, but this is, we just have to keep on doing this. Let's grab these other tracks. They've got sort of like different sorts of Mark III, different bits and pieces in through here. We can skip over certain things as well if we wanted to. Only 10 days to get these tracks. Now we've got 30 engineers working on this one, but we just finished the building back in the other place. So we now have 30 engineers allocated, but we've only got a total of 50, which means that we can still do a design or an engineering, but we can't do both without actually adding more engineers in as well. So we've still got 20 of them idle. So we don't want to have them idle if we can help it, but in this case, I'm just really wanting to focus on just the flow of the actual game itself. So you could certainly be going in and now designing for, actually, well, let's just do it and I'll show you what I mean. We'll just go back into this process line. So when we come into the design area, we've got the Mark I series. We can actually go down to now the medium whippet series, and we can sort of see that that's actually in there. We need to go and create a new version. Now we've got the wrought iron. I can make this now into the new rolled steel. So we can sort of go and change that one across and start to sort of figure out what we want to do. The rivets, that's all we've got through there. The ammo storage, I'll keep that on there, like it's sort of on the back there, like on the inside. We've got no components we can place on that one. Nothing on there either. Nothing on there. So we need to sort of be researching some of these. The fuel storage, we can actually put a storage on there. Let's just go and add a little bit more on this particular tank. For whatever reason, maybe we don't need it, but anyway, we'll just go with it. The vision port is fine in through that side. Ventilation, again, we've only got the one choice. We do actually have two hatches. So we've got one that's going to take a lot more mass. This one's a cheaper hatch, so we'll just go with the cheaper one, the Mark II. And we may be able to go back to the other design and actually put some of these cheaper things on as well. Like this door is actually a lot less expensive than the original door. So we'll just go and throw that one on. Now this one here has got nothing. Actually the tail, I can put the tail assembly back on if we wanted to, but let's not do it. Let's just get rid of that one. So that's going to be what we're going to be doing. Now we're going to assign the leftover 20 engineers to do this one in 10 days. We'll just assign them. So while we've got this design, we'll just go back and do this one. Go back to the factory. And that way all 50 of our engineers are employed. We don't have anyone working in the design bureau just yet. Okay, so this will be now delayed, 14 days delay. So it's now out to 31 days. That's okay. Like it doesn't worry us because we're ahead of the game anyway. 13 days left in through here. World News, British Empire announces a new contract. Here we go. So this is actually where we start to now make our money. So we're down to about half our money from when we started. So British Empire's General Staff has issued a bid for a new tank and accompanying supply contract to equip its army with the Vanguard tank. It must meet strict requirements, and bidding companies are to offer around 20. There we go. We're building our 20 to equip the first battalion. Already designers and engineers scramble to present their project and be awarded the contract. So now we actually go into the bidding area of the game, where we sort of then, as a tank tycoon or as a arms trade tycoon, we can then go through and actually now look at the contract. So the contract will now appear over here. So contract center. So this is it. We've got the application. We've got 31 days to fulfill the application, and we can then have a look and see how this one actually then does go and work. And so they've got different sorts of requirements. And what we do is the easiest way is when you've got a tank, you can sort of see this is their actual contract requirements. So choose the tank design that best meets the needs of the customer. Remember to pay close attention to the specialized attribute groups. And so when we have a look at this through here, they want to have like crew safety, for example, crew aiming. All of these are the actual things that they're wanting. And with what we've actually selected for them in here, we've got 0. We need to go across to here and select a tank. We can view the competitors' office as well. They've got the Hector Mark I, which has got an overall success score of 371 to 404. So somewhere in there. It just gives us a bit of something to guide for. At the moment, we're at negative 516. So we're miles off. Let's just go and select our mini blaster and see how we go. So when we select the mini blaster and put it in there, we can see that we're actually ahead here we're ahead there. We're behind in crew comfort, so we're not as comfortable. We're miles ahead in the internal communications, and the external communications we're ahead as well. So the crew performance we're ahead. We're behind in mobility, mainly with the obstacle slope angle, because we didn't put the wheel on the back. We didn't put that sort of wheel on the back there, which has actually then sort of impacted what we can do there. So we're behind in that one. Obstacle trench width as well, same sort of deal. We're massively behind in that. But road speed, because we got rid of it, we've got more speed. We've got cross-country speed. Transportability is up as well. So again, all of the little tool tips are fantastic, because it sort of is giving you all these different other information about what they're looking for. The operational range, we've actually got low operational range compared to what they're actually looking for. So it's not ideal all the way through. We've got a -5 for protection, so we've got a little bit less. It's going to be mainly the roof, I think. The sides ricochet, the rear ricochet is poor. The bottom, the top is not too as bad as I thought it was going to be honest. Sorry, that's the hull. The turret, yeah, we're not doing very well with the actual survivability. the stealth aspects in through there as well. Then we've got the firepower hard. We're actually ahead of what we wanted to be with that one. So we've got we're behind with the number of shells because we didn't put that extra loader in there. But we're doing okay with. We didn't need the secondary mount for that one to sort of then go and work. The soft, we're ahead as well, so we're doing well with that one. Reliability, we're just ahead, only a little bit. So just with what we're looking at through there. Primary weapon is a little bit less reliable than what they wanted, but everything else is good. And then finally, repairability as well. We're ahead of everything except for the secondary weapon, which is a little bit hard to repair. But other than that, that's pretty much, we're already a fair way ahead. But we haven't met this. We've gone from -500 to plus 216, but it's still red. We're still not competitive. So we need to make this competitive. Now, typically, if you're playing in the middle level, which is what we're playing as, you can get into the black, you can go to the green. So we can do 3 different things with the contracts. And so we can change the price, we can change the number and deliver more than what they want or less than what they want and change what's happening. So if I deliver less, we'll find that this actually doesn't do anything with the score. That's all right. And then we've got the date as well, like when we're going to be able to deliver it. Now, this is the 9th of the 12th, so we've got a long time before we have to do this one, but I can actually tweak this one down and do it quicker because we've actually got the tanks almost already built. And so we can actually say, hey, we can actually build these things and get them to you 2 months early or 1.5 months early. And that then pushes this score up into a high number just by doing that. You can see there that that's actually, they're surprised, they like that. If you go the other way, it goes negative. So this is where we have to consider how long will it take us to build the rest of these tanks. It won't take us very long, so we could definitely do it that way. In fact, what we could do is say, hey, we can actually deliver these things to you now we won't be able to do it in 1 month, so we might just pad it out to maybe a week into November. Let's just do it that way. That's actually still not quite good enough. Maybe we'll go the first of November. That gives me 1 month. And I think I can still do this. I can always just cancel this and have a bit of a look. Yeah, 12 days. But that's with 12 days with a very, very limited workforce. So let's go and fix this up. We'll get the workforce happening. So let's go and fix this up first. We're going to go into the administration. I can actually just go straight here to go straight into where we hire and fire. Now, just looking at this one, those casualties we had 36 were just now hanging around. They're not actually allocated to anything. So we're not going to fire anyone, but we want to get about 110. So I can just sort of go and click on this one and just get up to around about 110. Let's just do that. So that should be enough. We'll just hire these. So we'll bring them in. You've employed new staff. Are you certain you wish to proceed? Yes, we are. So we now actually have 146 idle staff. Let's go back out into the factory. So William, the taskmaster, is sort of going back into here. Now, again, actually, I should just go back into here. So if we go into, again, either clicking on this one or going into the actual build, this one in here, it's going to take us into production. And we can then just go back through. If we can see that we've got 204, we need to have a lot more. If we put the 146 extras that we had, now I think you have to just keep on clicking this one. I think you can do this one. I'll just type in 350 because we got 350. We'll just press enter. So that's now done. It's now going to be 7 days, so not 12 days. We've shaved off a bit of time by going to full employment now to get this contract. Even though we haven't won the contract yet, we're going to aim for this. And so 7 days left. We're in progress. We've got 16 tanks already produced, so it just makes it easier. If you start off by having a punt as to what you think people will want, it does help. And so in this case, yeah, that's fine. So we'll just now go back out again to the factory again. And we just go across to the contract, go back in again, have another look. So if we do change again, we just go back and change, grab the tank that we've got, the tank design, and then we're just going to commit now to fulfilling the 20 that they require. In well, I think we go with the date. We bring the date back, but now they're going to accept the contract. Yeah, application deadline 30th of the 10th. Actually, that's it's going to be difficult. I think I'll just make it so that we're just a little bit into the next one. I think I don't know if let's make it the 7th. That would give, even if they accept on this day, it still gives us a week to deliver. I don't know if we can go all the way back. We can go all the way back to there if we wanted to, and then up the price. But that's they basically they would have to accept right away. But let's just make it so that we end up with just 5 days. Let's give ourselves 5 days grace at the end of this. Now what they've done is it's brought up to 331, which is still not enough. So we need to now reduce the price until we end up with something where we're going to be in the green or in the black. Let's get it down to around about, say, 395 in here. So we're reducing the price down to 28,950 with a tighter delivery. So that's what we'll end up doing in through this other side. Now if we increase this, yeah, that's going to be hard to do more than that. All right, let's just leave it there. So that's the so we should succeed with this one because we've undercut the competition. I hope this one will make sense. Like, so we've given ourselves a tighter delivery deadline, and we've reduced the price to make us more competitive based on their requirements and based on what this one actually is. The Hector Mark 1, for whatever they've actually set up is actually is somewhere between 371 and 404. So we're at the high end. Like if they're above this, then we're going to be in trouble. But they should be below it, I would hope. I hope, because we're putting all of our eggs in this one basket. So let's go and put the contract in. So we've now submitted the contract. We can't edit that once we've actually done it, but we can look at it. So that's now the contract. Let's go and unpause the game. The new resources have now arrived. That's good. I won't bother getting any more at this stage. Well, yes, I really should be trying to keep on getting more and more. New tank has been revealed. The Metropolitan Carriage and Wagon has just repeated a new design. So there's more and more competitors now sort of starting off doing what they're doing. So with this one here, I'll just go back in and order more in through here. So we've got the, again, we'll just keep on going to Africa and just keep on getting the cheap stuff. Now that's, there we go. You can get 7 this time. It's not bad. Confirm that order. So 28 days left in there, and even if there's a delay, it really won't matter. Just need to keep these things coming. And we'll just let it continue running. Oh, here we go. So they've now accepted our offer. So contract offer accepted by the British Empire. And that was early. Like we had another month before we had to commit to that, but that's actually fine. So they've accepted our offer. Now we just have to deliver it. And we've got 2 days left to go. We've just got 2 tanks left to produce. Okay, so that's now completed. Whoops, hang on, I'll just pause that one. The production is now complete we've got the low pass running gear down through here. This one is now completed as well. So we've got a lot of things that have just actually happened in through this other side. Now, we are miles out in front. We've got the 20 odd tanks in the warehouse. Let's just go back across now and deliver those. So we now need to fulfill the contract. So when we look at the contracts in progress, we have heaps of time. We've got a month to deliver these, basically. So I could have gone even less and put the price up because we're here, we've got it. So that's actually fairly cool. So we've got the, we'll just go back across into the warehouse, or if we can go from the warehouse to the tank storage. And once we're in here, we then just go and click on the actual, what the contract was for. You can see total required by contracts is 20. So we go and click on the tank. It then puts contract number 1 out through here. Requires 20, and we can actually then go and then just got to make sure that we deliver all 20. Now we can deliver less. If we do deliver less, we end up with getting a bit of a fine with what's actually happening. So if we do all 20, that's all going to be good. So we can deliver less, as I say, but they will fine us. So whatever you do, don't actually don't not send what you've got. Like, it's better to have a partial contract go through than not. Now this one here, we've got nearly a month of leeway. And so we've got these different logistics companies. So Wenkerton and Sons has got a delivery speed of 12 days. Its safety is medium. So it's got medium, so there's 7 days potential delay in through there. It's going to take 12 days. So we can certainly do it within that one for 1,000 price per unit. And that can take up to 40. This one through here is also medium, costs a bit more, faster delivery. These ones here are medium, cost even more, very fast delivery. And then this one here is delivery speed is 8 days, so it's reasonably fast. It's a little bit cheaper than this one over through here, but the safety is low, and we may sort of blow out by 14 days with their delivery. They can take 20, so that's a bit cheaper. It still gets us where we need to be. So we can still, even with the 2 weeks after that one, actually that would still be within the limits, so that would actually work. This one costs a hell of a lot, but this is high safety. So very, very limited delays, but nine days in through that one through there. So we've got a few more down the bottom through here as well. So I'm going to go, I think with Ryder & Co, we'll just go with the cheapies. They can take 20 of these. So we'll sign the order, so 19,000. If we went up the top where it would be like 20,000. So we'll just go 19,000 in through here and sign the order. So we're going to be well and truly ahead. So that's now being sent off. So shipment of the mini blasters is in progress. 8 days left, quantity 20, but there may be a delay. Let's just go back out to the factory again. And then we see that, like, this is the expected delivery, dispatching 20 of them. And so that is essentially the main loop of the game. And then we've got the other bits and pieces, as I said before. There's no wars that have started yet, so on the global map, it's not going to show anything. But if the wars were starting, this is where it would show up, but there's nothing at this point in time. And then it's just literally a matter of rinsing and repeating. Like, we go back to the production hall. We probably want to let's get ourselves another 20 of these tanks. We might as well. So we'll just go into the production line. Mini blaster. Let's build, say, 20 of them, or 15. Let's build 15. That way we've got a little bit of leeway. So we'll just get all those done. That's another 10,000 iron. We've still got heaps of iron left over after we do this one. Assign that one, 27 days. That'll just keep the factory working. So that's where we go with that one. We now can go across. Now, did we run out? I think we may have run out of research. Yeah, you really don't want to let research stop. So so we're through here. Maybe we'll go for the bolted assembly. So we'll grab that one. That's going to be 38 days for that one. And next we'll go to the engineering. So we've got the medium whippet is now completed. What about the others? Yeah, we've got the male sponson, that's okay. Yeah, we don't have anything else we have to do in this one here. So, yes we do, we've got this whippet series. We can actually change things around. So the mud chutes, we can take them off if we wanted to, but let's leave them on. So that one's ready to be assigned. So let's assign this one 6 days for that one. So we'll assign that one. So that's now going to be allocated. And really we'll wait until that one gets done, then we'll go back into the design again and just keep on sort of now working on the whippet with this particular track. And we'll just let it run down now for just see what actually happens next. So delivery is going okay. Engineering completed with the whippet. Let's just finish that one off, go back to the design bureau, go back into the process line there. And we just start again. Basically, we've got the whippet. We'll go and create a whippet design. We've got this one completed. So that's the actual, that's the process. There's this one's got a different sort of loadout where it's mainly machine guns that are going to be placed on this particular design. Again, it's got machine guns that go in all 4 areas, but we don't have to do it. So we just go back in. We've got the 6-cylinder Mark 1 engine again. So we've still got the same engine that we had before. We've got the new tracks, the whippet tracks. So we'll just go and throw them on board. So that's them there. Then we've got the the armoured seals back in through this. This is actually now the different sorts of things we have. So we've got a turret up to the top there, but we can only put an armoured seal on it. So we'll just go and throw that there. Then we've got the 4 different machine guns. Now the turret itself, we don't actually have a turret designed properly yet, so that's why we can't do anything else there. But as we go to each of these, this side, let's not bother. Let's just put one machine gun on the front, make it another cheapie. So we'll just go, just block that one off. We'll block this one off. Front, we'll actually put the Hotchkiss, and the back, we'll block that off as well. And so that's just a very simple little design. We've got our points there we have to then allocate. It's interesting. We could actually go Commander Gunner and actually go 1 point less on Commander. So let's just go to Selected Crew again. So we've got the, now, is there any commanders? Yeah, there's Commander there. So we'll go Commander Gunner. Throw that one in. It gives us 2 out of 3 points there. We get our Gunner slot allocated. We still need to get the driver, so we'll put the driver in there. Then we need to still have 2 mechanics. So we're down on the command aspect, but we're okay with everything else. Everything else is actually okay with this one, so we'll just go, and again, we can chop and change things and add things in. But this is a small tank, so this is just a little light tank in comparison to the first one that we actually had. Expendables. So we go with the standard ammo, that's all we've got, and then we've got the fuel. So we'll just go and throw those in. The paint job, we'll throw one of these back on in there again. Why not? Switch the camera back, and this will be the mini gunner. Actually, this is the Whippet gunner. So just pretty much just almost like a armoured car to a degree. So I'll save that. So that design has now been saved. We then just need to assign engineers to it. Now we've only got 20 of 30, so we need to allocate another 10. So the way that we would go and do that, just to sort of summarise this again, go back to the administration. We need 10 more. Hire. Okay, so they've now been hired. Go back out to, back at the, no, we do it back in through here would be the best place. So just go back into engineering. Is it, no, it's design, sorry, design. And in line 1, we've got the engineers in through here, just pump them up so we end up getting this a bit faster. So 15 days, just saves a bit of time. So that's sort of, that's sort of how it goes. Now, the one thing that we haven't seen the contract be delivered yet. Got 2 more days for the contract. Let's have a look and see what actually happens here. World News, Colonel Esteen's appeal. You get all these different sort of things coming up. Let's go forward. And completed. Contract for the 1st Battalion has been completed. The time is out on one of your contracts, and the 1st Battalion Regiment is now equipped with as many of your tanks as you managed to deliver. Hopefully you delivered all the tanks as promised, and we did. And so what that then means is we end up getting a lot of money. We're back up to where we started, but we've already been, we're slightly ahead. Now, there'll be more contracts that will come. I do have to finish this. We're nearly 2 hours in now, so this is only supposed to be sort of like up to about an hour. But it's it really there's a lot in this game. It's really exciting. It's like there's so much in it, and so many, as I say, so many intertwining mechanics that sort of then just work really, really well with the way that the game actually does work. It's not a simple little building, like build a tank or build a tractor type game. This is really, really quite intricate with what you can then go and do with it. I hope that this has shown that aspect. That's the one thing I really, really hope it does happen. Again, if you're watching this and you're interested, then there is a wish list link in my description. And also, what else is there? Oh yeah, if you do support my channel in any sort of way, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. The one thing I haven't been able to show again is the wars. I would have loved to have shown that. What actually tends to happen is the countries will go to war. It takes a little bit of time for everyone to gear up with tanks, but then you'll start to get contracts from other countries, and your tanks will then go into battle, and you'll then get the reports on how they performed. So you have skin in the game as things sort of do develop. Anyway, guys, I think that this gives an overview. It's a pretty thorough overview, really, of how the game mechanics work. I hope it's been helpful. Hope it's sort of allowed you. One thing we didn't look at was the museum, but there's nothing in there at this stage. It doesn't sort of work at this point in time, so that will come later on, I think. as we sort of get more and more tanks. But it's certainly a great game, and I hope that you enjoy it. If you do pick it up, I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.